Israel is not doing the world a favor. What has happened is that the world is reaping the consequences of the United States' destructive decision under Trump in 2017 to destroy, at Israel's behest, the very real, very effective international agreement endorsed by the entire world, under which Iran's nuclear program was limited, monitored, and supervised to ensure that nuclear materials could not be diverted to a military.
But if Iran were not following,
it was utter folly,
right,
to destroy that agreement.
Iran's targeted ballistic missiles at Israel as its supreme leader accused Israel of starting a war. At least 3 people are reported to have been killed. The Israeli Defense Forces says it's continuing to strike targets in Iran. Iranian authorities say 78 people have been killed there. Already on Breakfast this morning, we've heard from former Commanding General of the US Army in Europe, Ben Hodges, who told us how he thinks these strikes reflect on President Trump.
I think the implication of this is, number one, it shows another failure, diplomatic failure by the United States. You know, we have completely failed in Ukraine. It looks like we have failed in trying to get Iran some sort of a nuclear deal. And, you know, this is not good for American influence around the world.
Well, White House correspondent for Reuters, Jeff Mason, told us how President Trump is responding to Israel's attacks.
They have put him in a little bit of a difficult position because he has also been pressing for Israel to delay so that he could continue having talks with Iran for a peace deal. And I will tell you, as somebody who gets to ask questions of the president every once in a while, that he's been telling reporters for some time that those talks with Iran have been going well. So this more than complicates that.
Well, let's turn to Richard Dalton, former British ambassador to Iran. Ambassador Dalton, good morning.
Good morning.
Very good to speak to you. So then, Iran has now retaliated. These strikes are continuing back and forth. In what position does Iran find itself at this point? Suggestions are it's extremely weakened, that this could actually be a good opportunity for something as dramatic as regime change.
Regime change is unlikely. The reaction of a majority of Iranians to external attack will be to rally round the government, however much they dislike that government. Some are calling for this as a window of opportunity to start a movement of opposition, but there's no trace of that on the ground in Iran so far. And the full capacity of the Iranian system's repressive capabilities is intact, and they would not tolerate people in the streets calling for criticism of the regime or let alone regime change. More widely, Iran has options. Israel started an illegal war of aggression, and Iran will respond. They have been seriously harmed by Israel already, so we don't know how much of their capacity to attack Israel has been retained. There could well be attacks on Israeli targets outside the region. I'm sure that different countries are bracing for that, and we can be sure that it will take time. This is something which has been started, but which is difficult to stop.
Just to consider Iran's position yet further, the notes that I've made myself here, it could be said, couldn't it, that Iran is in one of its, arguably its worst position, in fact, in decades. Its proxy forces, Hamas in Gaza, Hezbollah in Lebanon, both decimated at this point. Its economy's in distress. We've witnessed, even in the last 24 hours, military leaders being killed, seemingly with precision from Israel. There is something to be said also for Israel being able to turn actually what feels, from this distance at least, to be a significant amount of Iran's huge investment in its nuclear program is been blown up in a heartbeat. I do wonder if Iran is weakened in these ways.
Yes, you're right. the chief weakness that you've pointed to is the destruction of much of the capability of Hezbollah in Lebanon to threaten Israel with missiles. And that means that Iran has lost one of the powers that it has to deter attack. Of course, Iran can escalate in the region. It can attack US bases, given obvious US connivance in the Israeli attack. The Americans knew all about it in advance. They certainly didn't tell Israel to stop. Israeli sources are saying that Trump's statements that he was telling Israel not to do it and that he wanted diplomacy to continue was simply part of a deception plan to prevent key human targets of Israel's attacks moving to secure locations in Iran. So we shouldn't think somehow that the United States is an innocent party, and the Iranians may well conclude that they've not got much more to lose by attacking US bases. They could also further disrupt oil trade by going against oil exports in the vicinity of their coasts. Oil prices are already spiked by 10%. They could go up much further.
Yeah. I want to put this to you as well, Ambassador, and this is on kind of Netanyahu's, I suppose, perception, relationship with Iran, because his entire political career has been based on this idea that the Islamic Republic is on, or has been on, the brink of acquiring nuclear weapons, and Israel would have to make a move against it. And I base that on this from Netanyahu in 2007. He said there is only one difference between Nazi Germany and the Islamic Republic of Iran, namely that the first entered a worldwide conflict and then sought atomic weapons, while the latter is first seeking atomic weapons and once it has them will start a world war. To what extent could it be said that Netanyahu is doing the world a favour, that by attacking Iran in this way at what could be seen as an opportunistic moment, actually helps out other countries who are fearful of Iran but do not wish to take action in this way?
Successive United States national intelligence estimates, the latest in March this year, which nobody in Israel contested, states clearly, as all previous estimates for 15 years have stated, that Iran has developed capabilities which could be used in a nuclear weapons program, but has not decided to develop nuclear weapons and has no nuclear weapons. So in every respect, Israel's attack, claiming a right of preemptive attack against an intolerable threat, was wrong and illegal. Iran did not have the capability alleged. It did not have the intention to attack Israel with that nuclear capability. There was no imminent threat from Iran. There was no credible evidence of any change in policy from the position as stated in the US national intelligence estimates, and peaceful means to resolve the underlying dispute over the nuclear program were still underway and had not been exhausted. And that is why our government, the French government, European governments, the United Nations Security Council should condemn these attacks as reckless and likely to do yet further damage to the fabric of international law on which we depend, damage which was, of course, begun in part by the invasion of Iraq by the UK and the US in 2003 without adequate justification.
Yeah.
No, Israel is not doing the world a favor. What has happened is that the world is reaping the consequences of the United States' destructive decision under Trump in 2017 to destroy, at Israel's behest, the very real, very effective international agreement endorsed by the entire world under which Iran's nuclear program was limited, monitored, and supervised to ensure that nuclear materials could not be diverted to a military.
But if Iran were not following,
it was utter folly,
right,
to destroy that agreement.
Sure. So, but if Iran weren't following it, and I suppose what we're basing your argument on is trusting the Iranian regime and the information that we have and the evidence that they are presenting. Is that right? Is that what we're basing this on? And shouldn't we also say at this point, Ambassador Dalton, that Israel has been under threat from Iran for decades? Indeed, its proxies have been attacking Israel frequently. And I do just wonder if actually this particular tipping point, seemingly from the view of the Israelis, that now is a time to strike in something that has been simmering for such a long time, if actually that is just a proportionate response to the threat that Israel has lived under for so long.
I don't see why you should act as an advocate for the Israeli government.
I'm not. I'm only challenging the statements you're making, which is my job.
Clearly why this is an illegal aggression. And among the consequences will be, I believe, a likely decision by Iran to pursue nuclear weapons covertly in future. It's possible that the effect of Israel's action will be to make the world a more dangerous place. And it is also making the world a more dangerous place in that the United Kingdom consistently maintains that the fabric of international law protects us as well as other countries around the world. So the systematic destruction of it by Israel and its client patron, the United States, is absolutely contrary not only to our values, but to our interests.
Ambassador Richard Dalton, thank you very much. Thank you for your thoughts this morning. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Ambassador Dalton was Britain's ambassador to Iran.